Brad Williams, XL Prime, net present value. What is it? You put an investment in negative number. Your return in the way of a dividend over the life of the project, you just add them up. Greater than zero, the project is valid. If not, project is invalid based on your required rate of return. I'm not going to get into how to go about coming up with the required rate of return. It is very complex. We'll just use 8%. As an investor, based on the risk, you require 8% return on your money. Here's your money. You're putting it into an investment, and here is the cash flow back to you. The question is, over a 6-year period, based on this cash flow, is this a net present value positive investment? The rule of thumb is if the net present value is greater than zero, then it's a valid investment and you should invest in it. Over here, net present value is the calculation of the net present value of an investment using a discount rate and a series of future cash flows, assuming the discount rate is the rate for a single period. Excel's implementation of the net present value function makes calculating NPV a bit tricky. NPV is the net present value of uneven cash flows. The net present value function in spreadsheets does not accurately calculate net present value, which is defined as the present value of expected future cash flows minus the initial cost of the investment. The net present value function is actually the present value of an uneven cash flow function, despite the term net. Excluding the initial investment from the values argument and subtracting it outside the net present value function is one approach. Here's the formula. Net present value, future value, C6, C11 plus C5. Initial investment is C5, is not included as a value, but is added to net present value. Net present value, F4. What is F4? Well, that's your required rate of return. Rates, value, here, C6, add C5. And here you can look at this, review it. Internal rate of return. This is the actual return on this investment. Internal rate of return is C5 to C11. Just go ahead and look at this. The internal rate of return does work. The question is, well, Brad, what are you talking about? I'm only earning $35 on this investment. No. And the quick understanding, just to grasp this, if this is net present value is zero, what that's stating is you're earning 8% on your return. Why? Well, because we're taking the present value. We're using that 8% to discount this to its present value. So the actual return is 8.11. That's what that 35 represents. If we back this down to 7.88, nope, to 8.11, we're going to get, it's going to actually a little bit higher, 8.115, 8.112. Well, you kind of get the idea here. If your required rate of return is 8.11 and you see a net present value of zero, what's the internal rate of return on this cash flow? It's 8.11. Think about that. If you're having trouble going, I don't see where this makes any sense, well, look at your internal rate of return and your net present value, work out the numbers. Just a 2.5 minute introduction to net present value and IRR. Here is net present value computed without using the NPV value. This is a proof, or this is the way I compute net present value. You can see it's $35 and net present value $35. This is just very simple. All we're doing is taking C9, dividing it by 1 plus G4, the return, and the period. This is a cumulative discount based on uneven cash flows. You have to do this, otherwise your model is not going to calculate correctly. Your choice. If you believe that the net present value function is faulty, then use this. Otherwise, if you're going to use net present value, just occasionally verify. And this could just be a check, or you just may want to incorporate this traditional method as opposed to the Excel model. Brad Williams, Excel Prime.